You already know what time of day it is, guys. It's time for chapter 20 of The First Rule of Punk. Now, we're about halfway done with the book. I dig it. Good outsider story so far. If you remember the previous chapter, chapter 19, had Maria Luisa, going to the dance class run by Selena's mom. Her mom made her go, and then it turns out that maybe Selena and Malu are not quite so different. You know, they struggle with the parental units, so to speak. Now, they're different in their tastes, their likes, and everything, and personalities, but still the age-old struggle of child versus parent. I went through it. If you're not already having some struggles, you will, I'm sure. I mean, all kids kind of rebel in a way. So yeah, let's see what's up with getting ready for the talent show with Malu and her band, the Cocos. Chapter 20. When the day of the talent show auditions arrived, I felt like we were as ready as we could be. We'd practiced every day, sometimes with Mrs. Hidalgo's help, and watched a bunch of videos of the Ramones performing. I do that. I mean, I don't do it to perform, but I watch Ramones performances. I worked on my singing in the shower until Mom said she didn't know what she was going to do if she heard that song one more time. We knew we wouldn't sound perfect, but we'd have time to really work on the song after we got into the talent show. Despite all our work, everything seemed to go wrong on that Thursday afternoon as we stood in front of Principal Rivera, Mr. Jackson, and Mrs. Larson, the music teacher. When we were setting up, Joe realized he'd left the cord to his guitar in his locker and he'd have to run back to get it, or to find it, which cut into the time we'd been given. Ellie counted us down, but all three of them managed to start playing their instruments at different times, so we had to start over. Counting down it's a common thing in like that kind of like I mean really the Ramones kind of started it, but it's like the drummer like 1, 2, 3, then they start playing right there like 1, 2, 3, 4, and everybody's supposed to start playing at the same time, but that's what it means by counting in case nobody knew that. Worst of all, when it was time for me to sing, I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My tongue felt like it had been glued to the roof of my mouth, and as much as I tried, it wouldn't unstick. When it finally did, I sounded like I was croaking out the lyrics, at least the ones I could remember. But croaking seemed to work great with the grating, mismatched sounds that came from the instruments behind me. Halfway through the song, it felt like we were finally in sync. My face and ears burned, my stomach was still in a knot, and all I could do was clutch the microphone, but at least I wasn't croaking anymore. When we finished, Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Larson looked at each other, then at Principal Rivera, who jotted something down. "Thank you for coming," Principal Rivera said with a smile. "We'll post the participants on the announcements board tomorrow." We gathered our instruments, minus the drum set we borrowed from the band room, and left the auditorium. Outside there were a few kids, including Selena, waiting their turn. "I thought that went okay," Joe said. "You're kidding, right?" I wanted to cry, partly from the relief of being done, but also because I knew we didn't sound anything like I imagined we would. "Besides," Joe said, "the auditions are just a formality. Everyone gets into the talent show." "What's the point of auditioning then?" Benny asked. "They make sure you audition to, pre-screen you," Joe said. "To check out what you do is, appropriate." I felt a little better after hearing that, but before I went to sleep that night, I made sure my worry dolls were under my pillow. We just needed more time, and we'd be ready to rock the talent show. It's a pretty short chapter, guys, so I'm not going to go into the next one because I want to keep the suspense over the weekend. But yeah, so they auditioned. Didn't go great, according to Malu, but we'll have to see if they get in. Check what you have to respond to for the prompt today, guys.